So those were the easier versions of those that we did. Now we're going to have some longer ones. We're still solving quadratic expressions because it still has a squared term, but they didn't start having it set equal to 0 for you. So the first thing you need to do is move everything over so that it says equal 0 on the end. So we always want to leave our squared term positive. Means we're going to move both of those two things over. So we're going to have 5w squared. This is a negative. When I move it over, I have to make it a positive 17w. This is a negative. When I move it over, I'm going to make it a positive 6. And then I've got 0 there on the end. So whenever we have that quadratic expression, we always want to get it equal to 0. And then we're going to solve by factoring. Again, these factorings are going to be a little harder because now we've got numbers in front of our w squareds. So our two sets of parentheses. What times what gives me 5w squared? 5w and 1w, or just 5w and w, right? If you want to put a 1 in front of the w, you can, but 5 times 1 is 5, so 5w times 1w. What are my signs going to be?
Do we want it to be 5 or 17?
We'll get to 17.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're
The
going
first
to be
part was,
positive.
we're going to be both
And negative.
positive.
Oh, both positive.
Both positive, because these are both positive, right? Positive times a positive gives me a positive on the end. So now what we want to do is we want the factors of 6 that when we do the outside plus the inside, it adds up to the 17. So what's a pair of factors for 6?
2 times 3.
2 and 3. So I either have to do the 2 first or the 3 first. I'm just going to put them in there, 2 and 3. And then what I'm checking is the outside product plus the inside product. The outside product would give me 15w. The inside product would give me 2w, right? And 15 plus 2 is 17, so I've got them in there the right way. If that hadn't worked, I would have tried the 3 first and then the 2 to see if I could get 17 that way. If that didn't work, I'd try the 1 and the 6. And I just keep going until I found the right pair, but we found it right away. So now we've got it factored, and so now we can do our two problems. Either the 5w plus 2 equals 0, or the w plus 3 equals 0. So if I'm going to solve the first one, what should I do?
The first one, you are going to put the 2, take it over, and make it a negative 2.
Negative 2, so 5w equals negative 2. And then I have to divide by 5. So w equals negative 2/5 for my first answer. Second one, that's an easier one to solve. All we're going to do is
Negative 3.
negative 3. W equals negative 3. And so negative 2/5 and negative 3 are my two solutions. So way back in the review, we did all that factoring. Guess what? They don't let you forget it. They said, oh, we got to do more. So number 8 wants us to solve for x. First thing we want to do is make it equal to 0. And so what am I going to do? Before I do my parentheses.
Oh.
Because I have to have equal 0 before I can do my parentheses. And I don't have equal 0, do I?
Oh, no, you don't. What you going to do?
What did I do up here?
Oh, okay.
I got to move that thing over to the other side.
Oh, yeah, that's
But
right.
when I move it over, I got to be careful where I put that. Where should I put the 7x?
And the negative 2.
Now, if I put it behind the negative 2, is it going to be in the proper order to factor it?
So it's going to be 7x. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You missed that.
Yeah, you missed the last
You
how
missed
many
your
weeks.
turn.
She had to do all the talking. So we're going to have the 4x squared first, because we always want the x squared term first. Then we're going to want this one in the middle, the x term in the middle. But when we move it over, it's going to become
Negative.
negative 7x. Then we're going to have the minus 2, and now we've got nothing left over on the right side. So you always want it in what's called descending order. The squared highest exponent first, the x to the first in the middle, and then the one without the x on the end, so that when we factor, it factors out right. So now we can do our two sets of parentheses. So 4x squared. How do we factor 4x squared? What
So
times
it's
what?
gonna be plus and plus?
Before we get to that,
Oh,
how are we going to factor the 4x squared? 4x and x. That's one way it might be. And if that doesn't work, we'd have to try 2x and 2x, right? But we're going to start with 4x and x and see how that works. Now, thinking about my signs, what sign should I have? A plus and a minus, because the end is negative. If the end is negative, you've got one of each. Now, we don't know which order they go. We might have to switch them. We're just going to guess and then check. Well, then we're going to factor our 2. The 2 is easy to factor. What times what is 2?
2 times 1.
2 times 1. Do I want to put my 2 first or my 1 first? Just pick one.
We're trying to get 7, right?
We're trying to get 7 in the middle.
We want to do 1 first.
1 first and then the 2. And then we're going to check. The outside product would give me negative 8x. The inside product gives me positive 1x. And sure enough, hey, that's the negative 7 we want. We guessed the right way. Boy, we're good. So now that we've got it factored, we still have to solve the problem. So if we're going to solve the problem, what are we going to do?
Your 4 is going to come divided to...
If I have 4x,
4x plus 1 equals 0. And then you bring your 4x to negative 4.
you could, but what do you probably want to do? We're just going to move our 1 over instead of our x over,
Oh, okay.
right? I mean, it really doesn't matter, but then I don't have the negative 4. So I'm going to move my 1 over. So I'm going to minus my 1. 4x equals negative 1. And then I'm going to divide by the 4. So x equals negative 1/4. Right? Usually we move the number first and then divide. Not that you can't move the one with the x. It does work. On the second one, what are we going to do? Move the 2 over. So add our 2 to 0, and we just get 2. So negative 1/4 and 2 would be our 2 answers. You'll see in some books they'll call those roots. The solutions are called roots of your equation. So number 9, look at number 9 now. We have 9b squared plus 30b equals negative 25. What's the first thing we want to do?
You want to move your 25.
Move our 25 over. So 9b squared plus 30b plus 25 is going to equal 0, right? Now we got to do our 2 sets of parentheses. So now we want to think about 9b squared. What times what would give me 9b squared? 3 times 3 is 9, so we could try 3v and 3v. And if that didn't work, we'd have to go to 9 and 1. But it's probably the 3 and the 3. What about our signs?
Positive and a negative.
Whoops.
Oh,
Both positive. Because the end is positive, they both have to be the same.
N's positive, both have to be the same. I'm gonna write that somewhere.
Both the same as the middle. It's a plus and a plus. Now we want the factors of 25, that when we plug them in, we get the outside plus the inside gives us 30. So what do you think the factors of 25 probably are? What times what gives me 25?
5 times 5.
5 times 5. 5 and 5. So we check that. 3v times 5 is 15v. 5 times 3v in the middle is another 15v. And sure enough, 15 plus 15 is 30. Now notice that our two factors are the exact same thing. That means I get the same answer twice, so I really don't have to solve it twice. I'm just going to solve it one time because it's going to give me the same answer. If I have 3v plus 5 equals 0, what do I do to solve that? Minus my 5. So 3v equals negative 5. And then divide by my 3. So v equals negative 5/3. And on this one, we're going to only have one answer. They call it a double root because I get the same answer twice.